Hey guys, I am Sash and welcome back to Musica. Now, I make these videos whenever something comes up in class, in rehearsal, or just in conversation with dancers. And finding the one has come up a lot. So whether you're here because you really struggle at finding the one or just because you saw Musicality, I know this stuff is going to help you. So let's get into it. Musicality Part 2. In some styles of dance, the one count seems to matter a lot more than in others. So for instance, when you start learning some Latin styles, your basic patterns will begin on the one. Whereas if you go into something like tutting, you seem to have a lot more freedom. Now, that said, huge changes and subtle changes often happen in the music on a one count. So if you want to be able to predict what's coming up next or just react as quickly as possible, you kind of need to have some awareness of where that one is. In my last video, I said that with some practice, pretty much everyone could find the beat. Now, people do studies on this all the time. If you want to go be a music nerd and look into it, it's super interesting and do it. But for right now, let's just say that you're listening to a track all the way through and you can pretty much find the beat. That's step number one. To get any further than that, you're going to need tip number one, which is practice active listening. There are two kinds of listening. There's passive and there's active. Active listening is really tuning into something. It's really listening to as much of the song as you can. Whether you know the instruments or not, really try to pick out the different sounds, try to hear the vocals, the lyrics, try to hear the drums. It's really, really hard to do proper active listening while chatting to a friend or scrolling through social media or concentrating on something else. So just while you're doing that, put everything else to the side. All right, you're concentrating, you're listening, what comes next? Tip number two is to listen for the accents. Now, music is full of louds and softs all the way through. It's part of what makes it alive. The thing is, these louds and softs aren't only within the song as a whole, but from one beat to the next. Within your dancer's 8 count, beats 1 and 5 are typically going to be the loudest. And quite often, they'll actually be identical. If you remember back to my earlier video, I said that musicians work in 4s. So from your dancer's 8, beats 1 and 5 will actually be both beat 1 to a musician as 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. What does that mean for the music? Well, beat 1 of every bar tends to be louder than the rest. That's one of those fundamental guidelines of music that can be broken, but often isn't. For it to be obviously that little bit louder, sometimes the writer will include something extra on beat 1, and if you're lucky in the context of that song, it'll only be on beat 1 and not on beat 5. This could be anything from a crash cymbal to the keyboard or synth hitting a chord, the bass beginning a sequence, or some random sound that is thrown in there. Google the instruments that are going to be in the music that you're listening to if you have any idea. Because once you learn to recognize that sound, it's going to be a lot easier to recognize it within the context of some sort of song or track. So alright, you kind of got the hang of the beat. Hearing louds and softs is doable. Another thing I know you can do is listen out for structure. All music has structure, even the music that seems like it's going anywhere and everywhere. By structure, I mean how a song is put together. A song is like a book, right? It can have an introduction, chapters, a climax, and then an ending that can leave you satisfied or can leave you completely unsatisfied. When it comes to song structure, there is a huge spectrum of options, and I'm not about to sit here and try to compare hip-hop to jazz to music theatre to The Rite of Spring to Swan Lake to Brazilian zouk to merengue to bachata, because these are all from different worlds. Classical music often works in sections, for instance, section A with its own melody and motif and character, into section B with a completely different character, back into section A and then into section C. A lot of contemporary music will work with a pattern of verses, choruses and bridge, possibly also with an intro and outro and goodness knows what else. A lot of styles have their own variations on this, And if we speak very broadly, this can include anything from pop, rock, indie, salsa, bachata, kizomba, merengue, forró, and a lot more. There are way too many styles of dance and music for me to detail any one of them right now, but if you have a particular interest in one, then leave a comment or send me a message and I'll see what I can do. So, alright, that's a lot of information. What does that even mean? I said in the very beginning that changes in the music often happen on the one, and we see that in the structure all the time. Now, it's not a hard and fast rule, but it is extremely common that those sections, verses and choruses will begin on beat 1. As the song goes on, the further changes are also extremely likely to be on beat 1. To put this into practice and to get your ear used to listening for structure, try listening through a few of the songs that you are likely to be dancing to, and just listen for similarities in the structure. Maybe there are only tiny similarities, or maybe every one of the songs that you are listening to starts with a very long chill introduction, then a beat kicks in, maybe a dum ka dum ka dum ka dum ka. There's verse, chorus, and a fade out. Remember though, none of this means that every single song in that genre will have the same musical structure. That would suck, because it's the differences in music that keep it alive. What it does mean though is A, your ear and mind are getting accustomed to hearing these changes in the music and hearing where they happen and understanding how the writers of music make them happen. And also B, you are learning a structure that is used in your genre. Whether that's a structure that's used all the time or a structure that's used very rarely, you are learning one of many. The more you listen to, the more you start to understand and hear that structure in, the more your brain will get accustomed to how your genre of music works. And the more you will start developing that expectancy over what could come next. Now, if this is all brand new to you, everything I've just said is going to be surface level knowledge. And that means doing anything else and thinking about this at the same time is going to be hard. For a lot of you, that will include dance. So put some time aside to just listen to your dance music and really tune into all of this. I could go on for way longer, but that's definitely enough for one video. Keep dancing, guys. Keep learning. Stay safe.